Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you find yourself. Welcome to this session on innovative pedagogy. The way we're going to work today is I'm going to introduce our presenters, and then we will hear each presentation for about 20 minutes. I'll take like a 1-minute break in between the two, and then after that we will do Q&A. And as Esther said, please, you can start as you think about questions or comments during a presentation. Feel free to put them in the chat so we can keep track when we get to the Q&A. So let us begin. Dr. Vahdeddin Şimsek is currently working as assistant professor at Curacao University, the Faculty of Islamic Sciences. Dr. Şimsek, who works on teacher education, continues his studies especially on digitalization, social media, and artificial intelligence. Dr. Lokman Yıldırım holds master's and doctorate degrees in religious education. He's also head of the Digital Content Unit, the General Directorate of Religious Education, which sets out with the motto, quote, an effective religious education in new generation media. And then the Reverend Dr. Mariska Lauterboom is a lecturer at the Faculty of Theology of Satya Wacana Christian University in Indonesia. She is also an ordained pastor from the Protestant Church in the Moluccas. Her research interest is in decolonizing Christian religious education and women's studies in religion. So we turn first to Dr. Şimsek and Dr. Yıldırım.
Thank you, Mary, for your good introduction, and thank you for Esther, good, nice introduction for us. Now, today we will present new generation media and religious education in Turkish case, because in Turkey there is some programs, video content and YouTube contents or Instagram content by the Directorate of Religious Education within the Ministry of National Education. Let me share my presentation, then I will present my paper here with Lokman Yıldırım. He is the head of the digital unit, so he cannot reach now. He can join now, but he will join soon, I think. New generation media in religious education is a kind of new term. So we will discuss here, and we will some example from Turkish religious general direction, Ministry of Religious Education. So I will summarize for institutional background and General Directorate of Religious Education. What can do? First of all, I will give some historical background about the Turkish religious system. First of all, I will give some three parts. Official religious education and training service in Turkey are coordinated by three institutions. From the Ottoman Empire, non-religious for religious education service carried by Mufti office. You know, Mufti office in every city, and especially mosque, more than 600,000 mosque and Quran courses are carried by the Presidency of Religious Affairs, Diyanet İşleri Başkanlığı in Turkish name, and also high religious education activities at graduate and postgraduate levels by the faculties of theology, also Islamic science. There is two names in Turkey commonly. One of them is theology faculty, another one Islamic science. The curriculum are the same, and also religious education in the school and training at basic and secondary school. As you know, in Turkey, religious education is compulsory courses. So by carried of the General Directorate of Religious Education within the Ministry of National Education. This is the official responsible of the religious education. First of all, what does the Director of General Religious Education, what are their responsibilities? First of all, there is a kind of school, Imam Hatip school, for a imam and muftis in the mosques, we are training these schools, a kind of college in European parts, especially preparation of vocational courses curriculum textbook, as well as preparation of curriculum textbooks also. By the way, in addition to all duties and responsibilities, the institution has taken the responsibility of creating distance religious education content. So this is the our issue is today, distance religious education or digital religious education contents, which are now general teaching methods and new general teaching method based on needs, especially during and after COVID-19 pandemic periods. These contents were in front of the same distance education material, later diversified and starting to become more professional. Now, today, I will give some scientific reports about that also. With requests and feedback received, the general director decided to establish a special unit. We will title the digital content unit or digital content productive unit, which set out with the motto an effective religious education in new generation media, works under the special office of general religious education associate. What does the digital units do? The unit undertakes the production, planning, coordination of all printed, written, as visual, audio communication materials for the institution. The unit carries out its activity in order to promote activities carried out by the units to announce them to the public. This is the important one. Not for all Imam Hatip school students or theology or Islamic science faculty students, all public in Turkey. So with 25 different content series prepared by taking into account current pedagogical approach, technological opportunities in the field of religious education, it produces qualified digital materials that are both students and teacher oriented. This is the important part of not for the students, not for the parents, not for the students, teachers, all parts we are producing some digital materials for all parts, all stakeholders. These contents are shared with the public every day at 9:11 with determined publication schedule and are made available to the public through digital media within the scope of non-formal religious education. This is the important part of our production, because we are responsible for the all religious activities, non-religious or formal or informal religious education. So with this scope of non-formal education, we produce these materials to the public. These contents constitute a wide access, open source religious education platform, contribute to digital educational environments at the institutional level with content production on field expertise. This is the statistic of our digital performance and reach. Now, every day we get more audience from the younger people or also parents. Like now, just 5 years, we have this gravity, especially Instagram followers, as you seen in my presentation. Now, what means new generation media? We talk about a bit some like that. New generation media enhance interaction between teachers and students with the contents of religious education, while also acceleration of the process of information access and sharing. We sometimes during this period, social media and digital resources play a significant role in the fostering critical thinking skills in religious education, and we also provide opportunities for dialogue among diverse belief systems because our some digital materials about other religious faiths, for example, Christianity, for example, Judaism, we will talk about because in Turkish religious education system is non-confessional, so we have to talk and we have to mention the other religious beliefs in especially major religions, also in Islamic diversity, for example, Hanefi, Alevi, Shiism. We also discuss about our religious system. New generation media refers to media ecosystem in which users becomes not only content consumers but also content producers. The speed of interaction and dissemination reaches extraordinary dimension. In this environment, I will some example about how the students share their product or contents, because we only produce our content. Also, students can produce their contents. If it is possible, we will share all audience, all Turkish young people and Turkish public. In this environment, the content that individuals are exposed to, especially in the fields of religions, values, and morality, goes beyond pedagogical control mechanism, often makes young individuals open to ideological or commercial explanation. So, when we consider our General Director of Religious Education's content, we will pedagogical contents or contents based on pedagogical approaches or principles. So religious education is controlled by the direction of religious associate. The initiative undertaken by General Director of Religious Education to incorporate new generation media aim to cultivate, this is important, cultivate a participatory learning environment that accommodates diverse learning styles in religious education. This approach not only encourages active student engagement, but also facilitate a deeper understanding and also religious content. Consequently, religious education is evolving into a process that shapes a personal and social identities rather than simply serving a vehicle of knowledge transfer. So this is the another important part. Also, digital units extend beyond mere content presentation. They also facilitate diversification of teaching methodologies for the teachers, especially for religious education teachers. In this study, we compare relational analysis of YouTube and Instagram accounts were conducted, focusing on metrics such as follower counts, viewership, and likes, and other issues. This is as you seen on the screen, our digital performance and reach capacity. Now we have many, as I mentioned before, we have more than 20 contents and series in this social media accounts. So we have now today 6.7 million viewers, also 2.2 million interaction by these contents. These are user profile and content preference. As you've seen, our age group that consumes content mostly intensively on both Instagram and YouTube platforms is 25-44 age group. This rate is 25% of and patient profile. It was observed that female users are more intense on Instagram, while the ratio of male and female users on YouTube is close to each other. Now, in our content preference were analyzed, it was found that young people were interested in content prepared as sincere style. We have some programs, some contents like Hayırlı Ramazanlar, Hayırlı Cumalar. Ben İmam Hatipliyim. These are the Turkish names. Good Ramazan, as you say. I am an imam and I am a student of Imam Hatip School. Likes titled these content were viewed many 2.2 million people. This is important because in Turkish, in the school, especially in Imam Hatip School, a million students have. But interaction, as you've seen, 2.2 million, as you see. This is some our series, content series. One of them is digitalism. You know, as our title and today, it is mostly current digitalism title. We have some content about digitalism, media literacy. We have to focus 3 points here: algorithm awareness, digital games, digital overload. First of all, digitalism, this series aim to both raise awareness individual and protect them against the risk of digital abuse in the themes such as digital media literacy, ethical use, algorithm awareness, digital game. The first part of this series emphasized that the content users encounter digital platforms is shaped by algorithms, and these algorithms are trainable. It explains how user interaction with content turn to a recommendation circle in algorithm over time. Thus, it is revealed that digital consumption can made safer with conscious guidance. This approach serves as a structural guidance for the behavior of young users in the digital environment. Another chapter also is about digital games. For example, you know, some series, some types of games in which players are given the role of gods are included. It stated that in these games, themes with religious meaning such as creation, killing, punishment, and heaven or hell are left to the player's control. It is warned that this situation may lead to erosion of the meaning of religious symbols, concepts through gamification. At the same time, it is emphasized that the families and education should be aware of this kind of content. So, in this digitalism series, we will warn both parents, students, and also teachers in this series. Another video of the series, it is stated that intense digital data flow weakens the individual relationship with the truth, and this situation has negative effects on individual attention, as you know, concentration, also life order. These characteristic problems of digital age, such as information fatigue, distraction, erosion of comprehension of capacities, are addressed in a pedagogical language in this series. In general, digitalism series serves an important resource in both media ethics, Also, pedagogical awareness rises by providing user-oriented, also field-oriented suggestion on the conscious of use of media tools. This is another series. I will give some information about that. This is the Muslim Scientist series. You know, there is lots of students' mind. There is an obstacle between religion and science. So there is a barrier, or there is a conflict between both science and religion. We have to clarify these. There is no obstacle about these two issues. They are educational offers a database historically grounded response to such prejudiced approach in this series, taking account the cumulative development of process, the contribution scientists who grow up in different periods of Islamic science civilization to contemporary scientific developments are presented with this series. This approach explains to young people the universal character of scientific production, make it easy for establish a genuine connection between their beliefs and scientific involvements, scientific interest. Another content we have now our YouTube channel, Rotamız Camiler in Turkish name, also route to mosque. You know, for Islamic belief, mosque is the center of our beliefs. So this is the vlog style mobile mosque visits. In this series, we discuss the adaptation of religious worship by young people as a natural part of daily life is one of the main goals of religious education. Classical teaching methods are not always effective enough, especially in behavior-based subjects such as teaching worship. In this context, the content of our Road to Mosque prepared the digital unit constitutes a unique example of effective use of new generation media tools in worship. In this series, students visit various mosques in a fun and natural format in a vlog style, while discovering the architectural and artistic feature of the mosque they visit. They also experience the atmosphere of worship. This is important for us. While they are visiting, they also experience the atmosphere of worship. This series not only provides historical and cultural information, but also makes young viewers feel that worship is an ordinary part of daily life. For example, in fact, the practice of praying 2 rakats upon entering a mosque is presented in a very natural way within the program. This is important because fun-based flow is dominant on social media platform. It is seen that the presentation is based on naturalness and sincerity, although a serious religious content is present in series. In conclusion, Rotamız Camiler Route to Mosque series successfully demonstrate the teaching of worship can be present to young people in an experimental and effective format. Also, not theoretically, also, thus behavior change can be achieved through a more natural process. This is the another one. Now, Mary,
Yeah, can I say you have maybe one more minute?
one more minute. Now, as a conclusion, I have summarized some content about our religious contents. This is also religious education is a process that not only increases the level of knowledge, but also shapes his or her moral, spiritual, and social orientation. In this context, the effective use of new generation media tools necessitates rethinking both the content and methodology of religious education. Content production in accordance with the digital platform algorithm should be considered as a strategic necessity, not only increase access but also to deliver the right of information to target audience. In this context, the digital unit content reveals that authentic religious knowledge can be present in an understandable and effective way without integrating with popular culture. Also, young people's interest in content digital platforms shows that they are not alone in their search for meaning, and they are open to guidance. Therefore, digital media is not only a threat but can be a productive space when used properly. And the last question here, my presentation. The common characteristic of these content is that they only teach information but also present in a way that can be the nature integrated into their lives. At the same time, a constructive approach has been exploited our contents, our social media contents, also authentic religious knowledge, strength-made literacy, reduce abuses in a digital environment. Digital activities also constitute a remarkable example among the new generation strategies. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we offer some applause or little reaction things, and you can stop sharing your screen. I'm going to recommend that everybody take a moment to stretch, to stand up, to move your head a little bit. As we prepare for our next presentation, you can get very focused on the screen, so make sure you're moving your body a little bit, maybe hydrate a little bit. And again, keep track of what your questions are, because after Dr. Lauterboom's presentation, we will open up a question and answer period. So on that note, can I invite Dr. Lauterboom into the presentation space?
Okay, thank you, Mary. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Let me share my screen with you. Okay, so I will present about Gotong Royong pedagogy, cultivating moral agency and caring for others in cyber society through culture-based religious education. In recent years, the concept of culture-based education has gained renewed interest as a way to ground learning in the values, identities, and social practices of local communities. In the Indonesian context, Gotong Royong, a deeply rooted tradition of mutual cooperation, offers a powerful framework for reimagining religious education. Rather than relying solely on imported pedagogical models, this study explores how Gotong Royong can function as a culturally embedded, relational, and holistic pedagogy. I combined a literature-based review with qualitative research to examine the potential of Gotong Royong as a pedagogical model for culture-based religious education that fosters moral agency and nurtures caring individuals within the Indonesian context. As part of the data collection, I engaged with Virginia Health and Carol Gilligan's Ethics of Care and other relevant literature on moral agency as well as culture-based religious education. I also conducted fieldwork in Salatiga, Indonesia in April and May 2025, where I observed two Gotong Royong activities. Following these observations, I interviewed 7 adult participants about their motivations, actions, emotional experiences during their involvement. Additionally, I interviewed 3 adults and 5 children who participated in other Gotong Royong events. So, what is Gotong Royong? Gotong Royong is one of the many indigenous cultural value and practices in Indonesia and is widely recognized across various ethnic groups. It forms the foundation of the Indonesian way of life, shaping interactions in nearly every aspect of daily living. Gotong Royong, an old age tradition, served as both a marker of identity and a form of social capital that shapes the everyday lives of the people. The term Gotong Royong originates from the Javanese language, Gotong meaning to carry, and Royong meaning together. Traditionally, it refers to communal labor, such as neighbors joining forces to lift construction materials when building a house, allowing the task to be completed more efficiently. The concept centers on cooperation and collective effort, core values in Japanese social life. Sukarno, one of Indonesia's founding fathers and its first president, emphasized the importance of Gotong Royong in both understanding and practicing Pancasila. Pancasila, meaning five core principles, is the philosophical foundation and ideology of Indonesia. For President Sukarno, all the principles within Pancasila could be distilled into a single core value, which is Gotong Royong, which he referred to as Ekasila, or one principle. He envisioned it as the bedrock of Indonesian nationalism, rooted in the spirit of solidarity and as a humanitarian value capable of strengthening relationships among ethnic groups and even across nations. So these are some pictures of Gotong Royong. Gotong Royong manifests in a range of communal activities, from responding to natural disasters and celebrating Indonesian Independence Day to helping with neighborhood weddings, funerals, and everyday tasks. In these moments, people voluntarily came together to support one another as a community, sharing burdens and responsibilities. As its core, Gotong Royong reflects key values such as interreligious and intercultural solidarity, empathy, compassion, and a deep sense of kinship. While the name may differ across regions, such as Masohi in Maluku, Mapalete in South Sulawesi, Marsia Lapari in North Sumatra, and Nganggung in Bangka Island, the spirit remain the same. It is a model of cooperative living. However, the rise of individualism and social isolation, driven by digital technology and globalization, increasingly challenges these traditional ways of connecting and interacting. We live in a cyber society that focuses on the construction, maintenance, and mediation of community in electronic networks and computer-mediated communications. In a cyber society, digital technology permeates nearly every aspect of our daily lives, reshaping how we relate to one another. Among these technologies, artificial intelligence (AI) has become widely integrated across various fields. While AI brings many benefits, it also poses significant challenges. Ultimately, however, AI is a human-made tool, created, developed, and controlled by people. Therefore, more agency and an ethics of care are essential to guide how we engage with AI in our everyday lives. So, moral agency refers to the capacity of human beings to make ethical decisions and take responsibility for their actions. In parallel, the ethics of care emphasizes our relational responsibilities toward other creatures of God, grounded in care, solidarity, empathy, compassion, and attentiveness. Care or caring concern for others is a foundational moral value, standing in contrast to ethical theories that prioritize rationality, autonomy, and impartial principles. This approach emphasizes the context and particularities of relationships, such as those between a mother and a child. However, it is not limited to maternal care. Rather, it encompasses all individuals who engage in acts of caring. Promoting the ethics of care, therefore, is essential, particularly through educational efforts of religious communities. Religious education should nurture both moral agency and the ethics of care as a response to the ethical challenges posed by AI, including the loss of autonomy and control, gender bias and discrimination, social inequality and injustice, and rising individualism, as well as digital or social isolation. Here, Gotong Royong is an example of how to practice the ethics of care. It is the embodiment of ethics of care. So based on my interviews, Gotong Royong is commonly understood as working together and helping one another to lighten the burden. Across different age groups, the motivation remains consistent to support each other and make tasks more manageable. A 9-year-old child shared, "I feel good and happy because I can be helpful by working together." Similarly, a university student in his 20s who has participated in Gotong Royong many times expressed, "When many people work together, a task that initially feels heavy becomes lighter and is completed more quickly. The burden is shared, so no one feels too overwhelmed. Through Gotong Royong, we learn to care for and assist others selflessly. Empathy and solidarity grow, making both myself and others more attuned to the struggles faced by those around us." In short, Gotong Royong is not only about accomplishing tasks, it is also about building character, fostering community, and improving the quality of life together. I feel joyful and fulfilled knowing that I'm taking part in an activity that benefits many. Once the work is done, a deep sense of pride and satisfaction emerge. I know I have made a meaningful contribution to the common good. His understanding of Gotong Royong is profound, and he truly enjoyed participating in this activity, just like the other 14 respondents I interviewed. From my observation, Gotong Royong is more than just a cultural tradition. It cultivates character, fosters community, and serves as a vital marker of Indonesian identity and social capital. My research suggests that Gotong Royong not only fosters ethics of care, but also promotes gender equality and inclusivity. Its effectiveness lies in the fact that Gotong Royong is a core part of Indonesian identity. Therefore, revitalizing the values and practices of Gotong Royong must be pursued through religious education. It offers a form of pedagogy that can cultivate moral agency and nurture caring individuals within today's digital society for 4 reasons. First, Gotong Royong is a widely practiced cultural tradition and form of social capital known to every Indonesian. Second, it embodies the core values of Pancasila: belief in the one and only God, just and civilized humanity, the unity of Indonesia, democracy guided by inner wisdom, and social justice. So this tradition also opposes colonial legacies and promotes communal life and freedom, offering a culturally rooted foundation for building relationships with God and one another. Third, the values of Gotong Royong, including care, solidarity, empathy, responsibility, and compassion, can address some of the most pressing challenges of the cyber era. Practicing Gotong Royong fosters a sense of agency understood not merely as individual freedom, but as the ethical capacity to make responsible decisions in mutual relationships with others. Fourth, this pedagogy integrates both heart and mind in the learning process, supporting a spiritual journey in which relationships are meaningful in the pursuit of truth and knowledge. Moreover, it involves bodily participation, making Gotong Royong a holistic pedagogy that engages the heart, mind, and body. This approach can be implemented in Indonesian religious education through several key principles. The first one, by embedding ethical values through communal actions and interactions. Students are encouraged to participate in communal tasks, allowing them to directly experience values such as care and compassion. Second, by fostering relational and interdependent learning, Gotong Royong pedagogy can cultivate a liberating interdependence among communities and across boundaries, an aspect that, according to Boyung Lee, is central to post-colonial intercultural pedagogy. Third, by building communal or collective responsibility towards social justice. In a Gotong Royong classroom, responsibility is shared, not only for academic success, but also for the well-being of others. Gotong Royong pedagogy nurtures a deeper and more expansive understanding of community, one that responds to a changing world by moving from excessive individualism of Western culture. Fourth, by fostering critical and reflective practice. Moral agency involves the capacity for critical reflection, that is, evaluating one's actions and their ethical or moral implications. Gotong Royong encourages students to engage in this reflective process by examining their roles, actions, feelings, motivations, and responsibilities within group settings. Fifth, this pedagogy fosters respect for local wisdom and cultural identity. Students come to understand that it is rooted in their own traditions, where ethical living is not a foreign concept, but an integral part of their culture. Sixth, it bridges emotional and ethical moral development. When students are encouraged to help others, their actions become emotionally engaging and they feel appreciated and needed by those around them. These emotional bonds cultivate empathy and care, both of which are essential for developing moral agency, intrinsic motivation, and ethical behavior. To achieve this, a religious education classroom can adopt various strategies and teaching methods such as group service learning, collective project-based activities, circle discussions, collaborative decision-making, peer mentoring, communal problem solving, group journaling, and cultural storytelling, all encouraged by the spirit of Gotong Royong. These approaches foster students' caring and compassionate responses to the social issues they encounter. The values cultivated in the classroom are then practiced through diverse communal activities implemented through mutual agreement between the teacher and the students. In this setting, the teacher-student relationships are characterized by equality. It is a subject-to-subject relationship. Together, they work and support one another, grounded in the values of caring, solidarity, empathy, and compassion. Here, Gotong Royong pedagogy emphasizes moral development through relationships and responsibilities. This research contributes to the disclosure of the colonial pedagogy by proposing Gotong Royong as a viable, culturally grounded framework that counters individualism, discrimination, capitalism, and digital alienation. As a form of culture-based religious education that draws from the philosophy and values of Indonesia's long-standing tradition of mutual assistance, it supports decolonizing methodologies in education by placing indigenous culture and its wisdom at the center of learning experience. It is the opposite of the schooling system that privileges knowledge in books, individual grades, and hierarchical interactions. Gotong Royong resists colonial education paradigms. Beyond just replacing content, it reorients the pedagogy itself. Thus, Gotong Royong pedagogy extends Western feminist care ethics by drawing from indigenous culture and its wisdom of interdependency. In this pedagogical approach, the religious education classroom becomes a space grounded in equal relationships that encourages face-to-face interactions, where participants engage collaboratively with one another through care, solidarity, harmony, empathy, and compassion. This contextual pedagogy also fosters critical education, viewing learning as a liberatory act and a community-based process aimed at achieving liberation and social justice. Finally, through Gotong Royong, religious education can promote collaborative learning, active participation, caring relationship, social responsibility, and critical praxis. This pedagogy offers a holistic educational framework that nurtures not only intellectual development, but also student social, emotional, spiritual, and moral growth. By integrating Gotong Royong approach into religious education, we are invited to rethink and reimagine the human person, ethical agency, and community, especially within the context of the digital age and its artificial intelligence. It encourages voluntary cooperation and mutual assistance across identity boundaries. It also reinforces the core values of Pancasila and reorients us toward face-to-face human interactions and not only online interactions that grounded in communal care. It balances real life and the digital community. It reminds the church to be a community in the cyber era. Through this Gotong Royong pedagogy, God becomes present in acts of compassion and solidarity among people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, can we show some applause to our speaker? I'm going to invite now Dr. Şimsek and Dr. Lauterboom. And actually, I believe we have Dr. Yıldırım has also managed to make it into the room, and he was part of the paper with Dr. Şimsek. If the three of you would like to comment on each other briefly, on each other's presentation, maybe you have a question or something you want to underline, and then we'll open it up to the whole room. Just
Okay, thank you, Mary. So thank you very much, Dr. Şimsek, and also Dr. Yıldırım, for an excellent presentation and very interesting topic. There are so many interesting things there that I want to ask, but I am interested with how you talking about digital gaming as part of media ethics and pedagogical awareness raising, how to like digital literacy, and you talk about digital gaming and the role of God. Can you say more about that?
Thank you, Mariska.
Yeah.
Now, as a digital platform unit, we not produce a game or make a game. We warn the students and young people some abusement in the games. So something like digital media literacy, internet media literacy, a kind of like that. So we will some principles how to select a play, how to deal with a play, just all. We don't produce any game here now as far.
Okay, thank you. So you mentioned about female users dominate Instagram. Like, do you know, like, is there any research been done about why female users dominate Instagram compared to the male user?
Sure. I will check my notes.
So can everybody access the website?
Everybody
Everybody can access.
and Digital Power Report for 2024 as families or also women and men also use Instagram profile. Instagram mostly. Female users more intense on Instagram. For according to Digital Power Report for 2024 performance, access and impact about the relationship digital content with Turkey. This is in report. So we take account these kind of reports, and so we have to product some contents for it is place. For example, we have some other documents for Instagram, for YouTube, for X. These are all the same topic, but this different formats. We have to focus. It is algorithm. Because each platform has different algorithms.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so it's very interesting. So if we like outside Turkey, can we access the website?
Yes, sure. I will show, if it's possible, our main web page. If it is possible, Mary.
Yeah, you should be able to, if you share your screen. You could also put something in the chat, a link, if you wish.
This is our YouTube channel. Also here I will add our chat. And also I will share. These are all our contents.
Okay.
Now, our subscribe followers numbers. These our series. Maybe next we will some contents in English also. Now
Yeah.
they are Turkish because our followers are mainly Turkish. These are
Okay. So you have YouTube, Instagram.
also.
Yeah.
This is Instagram.
Ah. Okay. So the
I would
approach
that
is mono-religious or interreligious, the approach.
non-confessional,
Okay.
education.
Okay. Okay.
But mainly our schools, for example, this is the our schools introductions, Imam Hatip schools. These are short videos, reels also. After presentation, I wish all participants follow us, our account.
But you should put the link to the Instagram in the chat too, and then
Yeah.
people can follow you.
Sure.
Do either of you have questions for Dr. Lauterboom before we open it up widely? Well, then perhaps what I will do now is invite anybody who's in this Zoom room. If you have a question or a comment, you could raise your hand. If you wave your hand, I can probably see it, or there's a little reaction tool, and then you could unmute. We're a small enough group that I also think you could simply unmute and speak. What would you offer to our very interesting presenters today? Well, maybe while our community is pondering what to ask, let me ask. I'm very curious, particularly in the Turkish context, whether you find, and you said something about you had both followers that you could identify numbers within Turkey, but also external followers. And I'm curious about the ways in which Muslims in other settings might find the work that you're doing interesting, and even like here in Minnesota, we have many different Muslim groups. Some are more conservative, some are more open in the way in which they approach issues. And I can imagine that some of the ones that are more open would find it very helpful to follow your pieces as a way of entering into discussion with Islam. And I'm wondering whether you found, as it raised questions within Turkey, as it raised questions within your context, the differing interpretations of Islam.
I want to answer this question. In Turkish, religious education is a compulsory by our 1982 constitution, by the article of 24. So we have to religious education in a non-conventional manner or approaches. So our content, we will up-heading, focusing, no details, no conviction. So in our textbooks, mainly, our sources, official religious education, I mean. So we don't want to any confliction between sects or religious ideas, identities. So in our context and our sources is mainly the Quran and the Sunnah. So we have no other sects or other different nations, different ideas.
That's interesting. All right, how about the rest of you in this room? Anybody else have a question or a comment they want to make? Go ahead, Paulinus.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Dr. Şimsek and Dr. Lauterboom. Sorry if I didn't pronounce your name very well. I find your presentations very interesting. I know from the Turkish and Indonesia, context. And I think your message, Dr. Şimsek, resonates with me in terms of, trying to a kind of reconcile both the mode of the message and the message itself as not something opposed, but something that is really a kind of a synonym, so to speak, or not just synonymous, but at least they go together. And for Dr. Lauterboom, I think your presentation, has a lot to say of my own Nigerian context. So the pedagogy you mentioned, if I pronounce it right, Gotong Royong, I don't know. So if that pedagogy is something that we live with in Africa, especially in Nigeria, where we live communally. But then one thing I have noticed is that with globalization, with migration, so there is this constant move from rural to urban areas. Sometimes due to that such movement and other kinds of intervening factors, the community life is no longer what it used to be. And the new generation, they find it difficult to really oppose such values because they have found themselves maybe in the cities where more of individual lives are practiced. So I'm wondering, in that kind of context, how do we kind of continue to, project or promote the Gotong Royong methods? Or pedagogy is a kind of derivation of it, but that value, how do you continue to promote it, especially to the digital natives? And then another question is, when you were speaking about ethics, I don't know if I got you correctly, but it seemed that at a point you were trying to put moral agency and ethics of care as if they are opposed. But I don't think they are opposed in any way, because of course moral agency is just that power of an individual to make an informed decision. And ethics of care, you need that agency even for you to be involved in ethics of care. So if I got you correctly, could you clarify that area? Otherwise, please, if I didn't get you correctly, I'm sorry about that.
Okay, so should I go first? Okay, so thank you for a very good question, Paulinus. Yes, it's a Gotong Royong, Gotong Royong value, Gotong Royong practice, Gotong Royong tradition. So in Indonesia, we like almost I think everyone in Indonesia, even like the small kids, will know Gotong Royong. So some will see it as a spirit, a cultural value, a social solidarity, a principle, a mutual morality, active participation, self-willingness, social integration, togetherness, and so on. So it's a like everybody knows about this Gotong Royong, but like I totally agree with you. In a rural area in my paper, I share about my childhood experiences when like every time we will always see experience Gotong Royong. But then when I moved to like, a different city, big city, the experience is totally different, especially with the challenge poses by the digital age right now, by the cyber society. Individualism is like everywhere. And right now people is like more they because Gotong Royong, you help others voluntarily. There's no need for people to pay you to help others, right? But then right now people just like, you can just pay somebody to finish the job. So it is more to the result and not the process. That is why the value of Gotong Royong need to be revitalized through religious education. So I find it's very important to how to respond to the challenges posed by digital era right now. Let's go back to the Gotong Royong value. Let's see religious education as how we can conduct a Gotong Royong pedagogy as a culture-based religious education in Indonesian context. And then regarding moral agency, I mentioned about the two of them is like in parallel to each other. They are complement to one another. Moral agency that I refer to in this paper is the moral agency grounded in care for others. So it is not only about the capacity to make ethical decisions, but the capacity to make ethical decision grounded in care, grounded in uh, responsibility for other creations. Not only human right now, but also other creation of God. So it's like that. And then I also will answer the question of Esther. Yeah, thank you. So like outsiders in Indonesia, I think when I moved to like other city, although Gotong Royong probably in my home island, we call it Masohi, but the spirit is still the same. So when we move, when there is a Gotong Royong activity, we will just like we do not feel like an outsider when we help like each other. So the sense of kinship is very strong when we practice Gotong Royong. So that's the thing that I long for right now. So we need to revitalize the value of Gotong Royong in Christian religious education. So regarding cultural or practical challenges, uh, like I mentioned, when I try to respond to Paulino's question, when we like right now, people are more individual, and people like they think that everything can be solved with like money, just pay other people to do their job. They aim for like the result and like not the process of like coming together, being together. I think right now that is the practical challenge. So the first president of Indonesia, Soekarno, I mean, we have like Pancasila, five core principles from believe in one God until social justice. But then he even our first president and like one Indonesia's founding fathers, he even stated that five core principles can be distilled into one principle, which is Gotong Royong. So this is like very important, and I think this is how can we balance the digital life and the real life. I think by bringing this Gotong Royong pedagogy into religious education. Yeah. Thank you. I hope this response can, can answer your questions.
Mariska, you have another question from Christopher in the chat. I don't know, Christopher, I think maybe he's muted he can't be unmuted. So I don't know if you can read the
Yeah.
question in the chat.
Okay.
Maybe read it out loud for everybody so that they know what you're responding to.
Okay, so Christopher asked about Dr. Mariska, thanks so much for your wonderful presentation. By way of comparison, what might you say is the ekasila of, say, US, etc., religious education? Is comparison a helpful way of appreciating cultural differences and similarities across the world? Oh, he apologized because he need to stay muted. Okay, so ekasila as so ekasila means eka means one and sila means principle. So our first president, when he talks about Pancasila, he also talk about Trisila. Trisila means three principles. Three principles, according to Sukarno at the time, um, social life and nationalism, social and democracy, and belief in one and only God. So that's three sila. But then how this three sila can be distilled into one principle, according to Sukarno, it is ekasila, which is Gotong Royong. So Gotong Royong, since the very first beginning of this nation, this country, is a very important value, is a very important cultural tradition that not only to strengthen the kinship, inside Indonesia, but also, as I mentioned in my presentation, also across nations, like how to help each other, how to like mutual assistance, how to live together collaboratively in like based grounding in care, solidarity, not in like you want to like capitalism, you want like to win all, and then you have to sacrifice other people, and that is not the spirit of Gotong Royong. Gotong Royong means working together, mutual assistance, grounding in care, grounding in solidarity, grounding in compassion. And I think this is a part of also appreciating cultural differences and similarities across the world. Yeah. I hope
Thank you.
this can answer your question, Christopher. He's also from Indonesia, my old friend.
So what else are you all curious about? I see Eileen Daly's hand is up.
Good morning, evening, and afternoon to everyone. I have a question, especially. Well, thank you, all of you. I want to go on a Gotong. I want to go on one. That sounds great. But I have a question for Dr. Şimsek and Yıldırım. Your numbers, people, your numbers on YouTube and Instagram are very impressive. Did you consciously do anything? Like, what was your mentality about increasing the numbers? Or did it just happen and you don't know how it happened?
Thank you, Alan. This is a good question for us because in Turkey, there are lots of alternatives for religious education, but as far as I know and I imagine and I believe that people or parents make their children get truth about religious education or religions or beliefs. So this is the platform, or this is the account, YouTube account and Instagram account, supported by official ministry department. So it is truthful, another reliable platform for other platforms. So people every day get subscribe or follow our contents, I think. Also, in my presentation, I will pass that part because there is another series about some question. What I mean by new digital age religious education is interaction. So in Turkey, we have some survey, 100,000 students. What you know, what do you want to know about religion, especially or theological issues or philosophical problems? Why I am here? Why I born? We have to answer these main questions by pedagogical approaches and simple words for students or for a child's levels. So this is a bit success based on these issues. Thank you.
You started by saying that you talked about the DGOM being having credibility, and I wonder if part of the issue in the vast numbers are precisely that, right? That people go there first, and I wonder about the competing definitions of authority and credibility now that digitality has created for people, right? I mean, like there's this competing set of what's real or what's true. What I think is so fascinating about the work you were doing was the YouTube channel inviting people to visit mosques in this kind of friendly, immersive way of seeing what the practices are, right? So it's an experiential invitation, even though it's via YouTube. And I think the same thing, Mariska, with what you're talking about, that it's deeply participatory and experiential. And as we listen to all the work about AI in this meeting, I'm thinking the more that we see religious education as having a heart-centered experiential component to it, perhaps the better off we're going to be. I don't know. That's a question I have for both of you.
Yeah, because like if I have to choose, I choose like face-to-face interactions
Mhm.
rather than like screen-to-screen meetings, you know. But then the world is changing. But like as I mentioned in my presentation, we need to like balance the digital life, but also the real life interactions. And I am like inspired by Dr. Şimsek presentation about how to promote Gotong Royong, you know, like through digital platform too. How to make it like how to invite people to, you know, participate in like helping helping each other in like old way during my childhood experience in our present time, but you know, promote it through YouTube or Instagram. I think this will be a very good challenge.
I had the same idea. I prefer face-to-face interaction and religious education, but this is inherent from COVID-19
Mhm.
and distance educational platform. So our ministry has supported this kind of activities. Now it is getting more professional contents, producing content. So This is new area for religious education, I think. So
Yeah.
we have to be here in digital world, in digital space with our truth contents, I think.
Mm.
Yeah, and how to how to diminish the dualism between this digital life and also real life, you know. You mentioned about ecosystem in your presentation, and yeah, I think this is like our ecosystem that we need to figure out in our religious education activities. Um, do you like for the effectiveness of the YouTube and Instagram, you mentioned about like the increasing number of followers and activity in those online platforms. Well, but what about the effectiveness in term of like faith development, like faith formation? Do you have like research on that?
Uh, we have no search about it, but in all over the world, religiosity has increasing in Turkey also.
Mhm.
But we have to produce, and we have to go on produce religious content, religious education content. Lots of, although this increasing of religiosity.
Okay, thank you.
Paulinus's hand is up.
So this is a question for the two of you. I just wonder what you think. So in one of the presentations we had yesterday, so dealing on a kind of decolonization of maybe the digital culture. So the presenter kind of inferred that, you know, the digital tools have become tools of colonialism, you know,
Yes.
because of the dominance of maybe one particular group in that area. So I'm just wondering if two of you feel that pressure in your own context, and maybe based on what you're proposing, how you plan to address such, you know, in religious education.
I go first? Or okay, so thank you for interesting question, Paulinus. So this is also my concern. That is why I see Gotong Royong pedagogy as a decolonial pedagogy because it grounding in indigenous culture, traditional value of Gotong Royong, as well as this mutual assistance, like lending a hand for others. I think will help us to face capitalism because right now everything is like about like, you know, you just hire people, like everything is like, you know, for money.
Mm.
But then our traditional value is not like that. It's just like when people in need, you just, you know, help. Like right now, like, you know, people don't need neighbors. They just like need like for moving things for like, you know, like during weddings, they just hire, you know, like some certain service for the excellent quality, and then for it to be instagrammable and posting on Instagram, right? And they forget about the value of like you have neighbors that can, you know, can help you. Like, okay, today I'm having this, my neighbors help me, next time when they have something I will also help them. And that's why I argue for Gotong Royong pedagogy also as a decolonial pedagogy because it it grounds in the indigenous value, indigenous culture. It's create equal space no hierarchical relationships. And also like I said, it's against capitalism, because you just help others with because I care, because in solidarity, not because of money, not because of you want something in return. Yeah.
Thank you, Mariska. And again, of course, my major worry here is, the tool itself. The tool, for instance, gives you rules of how to use it. And those rules, emerge from a certain context of what is right or wrong. For instance, in Nigeria, we may be so direct in naming something. You've offended me. I can directly tell you've offended me. I don't have to paint words about that. So, but maybe that may not be correct in American context. They may want to kind of respectfully kind of tell you in that way. And so, for instance, when I use Facebook and I want to say, I don't like this, one of the restrictions is that you don't say it that way. You say it in another way. So whether we like it or not, the media continues to shape, even how we communicate and so on. So this is where I am and if we don't rise up to acquiring almost something close to the digital ability in terms of creating those tools, we may develop a pedagogy that may be inhibited by this. So this is a kind of what I'm trying to expose, or to maybe bring to our consciousness, to see how we can, as we plan our pedagogies, how we can be mindful of the tools we're using. Dr. Şimsek was clear about, and that's what I picked from his presentation, that you don't just separate the message from the tool itself. In the Christian context, we talk about the message and the messenger. But then here, there's also an inclusion of not just the messenger, but also the messaging tool. So
Yeah, like in online platform like Facebook and so on. So our emotions are limited to emoji. And some people think that just by pressing like or heart symbol is enough, and people feel sad, just like, oh, I'm sorry, I offer my deep condolences, and people think that's enough, because it's become another world, right? And I think this is still the challenge for us when we talk about digital literacy, online media literacy. I think we are still, trying to figure this out. And pandemic COVID-19 make it even faster. And I think somehow we're not ready, but then we have to, deal with all this digital platform. And Dr. Şimsek mentioned about medium is the message. Medium is the message right now. Yeah, I think we need to, try to, it's not only the message, but also the medium, the messenger. I think it's right now is we need to think about all those stuff. Yeah, thank you.
Palius, and do you have any question for me? I missed it, but I have to add some about digitalism to Mariska. As a national ministry in Turkey, haven't seen digitalism as a threat now. This is a potential for us, for religious education, for train parents, students, also teacher education, for also imams and muezzin. These are all religious educators in Turkey. So this is founded by ministries and official officially to present our Islamic religious beliefs in all audience, all publics. So digitalism is, the message is here. We have to be here in digital world.
I will note that we're coming towards the end of our time here. I don't know if any of our presenters want to have one final word. Dr. Şimsek, maybe is there one final thing you want to say?
Thank you for all interesting and feedbacks. Thank you good for your supporting ideas. We will also take account your question feedbacks also for our papers. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Lauterboom, do you have one final thing you'd like to say?
Okay, so thank you everyone. And for all of us, religious educators or just educators, hang in there. We can get through this, you know, all the challenges of the digital, of the cyber society. Thank you.
Let's offer applause to our presenters, and please note that Esther put in the chat the link to the evaluation form. We really appreciate it when people fill it out because we read these very carefully at REA, and it shapes how we do future work. So please take a moment to click on that link and to fill in the evaluation form. And again, thank you so much, Dr. Şimsek, Dr. Yıldırım, Dr. Lauterboom, for your really fascinating presentations today.